Now, this one is a very interesting question that is a very easy one to answer at that. I still think this is a pretty easy one to answer. Now, this fight is Thanos versus Escharum or Escharum. Some people call him Escharum. I don't really like calling him that, so I'm going to call him Escharum for the rest of the video. For those who do not know who Escharum is, he is technically the main boss of Halo Infinite. He is about 8'9" beast of a brute. He is older, much older than the rest of the brutes, but he is a very physically strong being with a giant hammer and a machine gun. And now you have Thanos. Thanos, I will give him his sword for probably most of the battle scenarios I want to go over. No stones, because with stones, it's unfair. And it's going to be about Infinity War Thanos kind of stuff, so about 7 foot. Now, this means a lot for the fight, I will say. To put it like this, I do not think Thanos is winning the majority of these fights. Go ahead and click off, I don't care. But I do not think Thanos is going to win the majority of the fights. Let me explain. Now, to be honest, there are 3 major points I do not think Thanos can either overcome or beat in this fight. Number 1, that being his machine gun, Escharum's machine gun. Now, this machine gun is a very powerful machine gun. Now, this machine gun has a small blade on the front and hard light bullets. Now, that means a lot for this, because I do not think Thanos can survive bullets. I've said in the past that even though he fought Iron Man never shot bullets at him or plasma at him at all. He did get cut in the face. Yes, grant a very small cut, but it was by a flat surface with a small little point. He was very easily cut. That's what I'm trying to say. So if he was very easily cut, then that might mean a very high voltage bullet might be able to pierce his skin. We also see Gamora, even though it was through the Reality Stone, stab Thanos in the neck like it was nothing. She's weaker than a normal human. So I really do think that the bullets from his hard light cannon will pierce his skin. Now on to point number 2, it is his raw power. Now this dude is very, very powerful. He can throw around Spartans like it's nothing. He can flip over tables, break tables like it's absolutely nothing, using very little strength. I do think if these two went hand-to-hand combat, that Thanos would probably get the most blows, but Escharum would do the most amount of damage. Point number 3 I want to make is actually technically a 2-parter-ish, I don't know how to explain it, is his age. His age is a humongous factor. Yes, Thanos is hundreds of years old, but this dude has gone through hell and back. He has literally fought in multiple wars. He was working with the Covenant at one point. He was working with the Banished. He became War Chieftain of the Banished, meaning he was leading the entire operation of all forces of the Banished, meaning he was telling them to go to one planet to destroy that, to take over another planet, and to harvest on that planet. This dude had a lot of knowledge that Thanos does not have. Because Thanos is more like a king rather than a leader. He rules on a throne and tells his advisors to do what he wants them to do. He doesn't actually do the leading. He just tells. He'll fight when he needs to fight, but he doesn't actually do much. He just sits on the throne, has a vision. He has his entire army to work out that vision, but he doesn't actually lead his vision. The other point with him having the age over Thanos, even though he doesn't, he has the higher intelligence and higher battle experience over Thanos. Now, that does go in for the fact that with this giant freaking hammer he has, this hammer is about the same size as him. It is pretty big. So, what this means is this hammer has been through multiple fights with him. He knows exactly how to use that hammer more than anybody else. This dude has literally lived with this hammer and used this hammer his entire life. So that does mean he does have some advantage over Thanos. Unlike Thanos' sword where it can be easily broken, a brute hammer is not easily broken. And I have said in the past, if Thanos gets hit by a brute hammer, I don't think he's surviving the blunt force that one of these things give. Especially a hammer like this, where it is just very heavy and very strong from a very physical beast that is wielding it. Now, there are 3 ways Thanos can win this fight. Number 1, he could use the sword to stab Escharum through the chest. Granted, yes, now Escharum is a lot weaker because he is a lot older. He's also a lot slower than he would have been in his prime. Thanos can also outmatch him in a physical combat fight. Now, if it did happen to go, they dropped their weapons and they went fist to fist, Thanos would probably win with a few bumps and bruises and or broken bones. And the third most obvious way is if he were to have his stones. but he won't in this scenario because it's a little unfair. Other than those three ways Thanos could beat him, I do think Escharum is winning every single fight, just for the mere fact that he's got a giant hammer, and he also has a machine gun with bullets, which I do think can pierce Thanos' skin, and it would be very hard for Thanos to get up close because it also has a blade on it. And for those people who have played Infinite and I'm not going to put him in his actual place of living or where his arena is. It'll just be like a blank field, because if you put Escharum in where he fights all of his prey, he has reactors around him. You would have to hit the reactors first before actually hitting him, which gives just a lot of time for him to shoot at you, meaning Thanos is vulnerable for a couple of seconds. So I'll give this match a 8 out of 10. So there are 8 times out of 10 Thanos will lose this fight against Escharum, but there is still a chance Thanos can win one of these fights. Now, if you disagree with me, that's perfectly okay. It's my opinion. You're allowed to have your own. Now, if you want to say something that I maybe missed, you can go ahead and tell me in the comments, and maybe I'll make a future video about those things I missed.